Hello, nieces and nieces. How are you today? Welcome back to the channel. I want to thank you guys for coming back to the channel. I'm SavingsFashionista, and over here we do mainly things fragrance, whether it's body or home. And today we are here to talk vanilla fragrances. So if you're interested in hearing what I have to share about vanilla fragrances, please. Okay, so this is going to be an updated vanilla video, but I'm going to rank them. So if you have not checked out my vanilla video that I shared last year, you can click the card above and you can go back in time and see what I was feeling and how I was vibing with vanilla about a year ago. You can check that out. But today I have about 19 fragrances here and I want to rank them and I want to share my pros and cons about them. Let's roll right into it. All right, so starting at number 19, I have a fragrance from the house of KayAli, and this probably explains why it's number 19. This is Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli. This is probably one of my least liked fragrances from the house of KayAli. I'm glad that I did pay attention to some fellow content creators when they talked about how strong this fragrance is. And honestly, I don't know if this fragrance has oud in it or not. Yeah, it has oud in it. It actually could have been a part of the oud line. This is a very, very strong fragrance. So this fragrance does have some notes of rum. It has some vanilla, of course. It has creme brulee. It has tonka bean, some brown sugar, and agar wood, which is the oud component in it. The standout thing that I remember about this fragrance when I was contemplating or trying to see if I was going to purchase it was that it was a vanilla 28 on 100. I can't remember who said it, but it was said to be a vanilla 28 on 100. And even vanilla 28, if I don't mix it the right way or if I put just a bit too much on, it is a bit strong for me. So I followed that like buyer's guide in my head, and I'm glad that I did because this was not a go for me. This was not full size for me. So Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli, and it's probably the patchouli note now that I think about it. The patchouli note in combination with that oud note, it was just a bit much for me. So again, in the number 19 space, this is Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli. Okay, so in number 18, this is Valentino's Donna Born in Roma, The Intense. So I think this was the third one or the fourth one, I think, that came out in this line. So this fragrance was merely purchased just as a frame of reference because I didn't have any of the Donna Born in Roma as far as the pink packagings. I didn't have any of those, and I wanted to kind of like create a frame of reference when the pink PP came out. But this is still growing on me, you guys. I just recently got it maybe a month ago. It has some fragrance notes of vanilla bourbon, some amber, some jasmine, and some benzoin. To be perfectly honest with you, it is a nice fragrance, but the dry down for me, and I think it dries down to a highly resined benzoin, and that note just does not work well on me all the time. So I'm thinking the benzoin is what is kind of got me like stuck in the middle with this fragrance, whether I like it or I don't like it. So again, in the number 18 spot, this is Valentino's Donna Born in Roma Intense. Number 17 is Choco Musk. This is an Arabian fragrance, and it is by Al Rehab. Now, this fragrance is so far down on the list, you guys, not because it's not a good chocolatey, sweet, gourmand fragrance. It is because the lasting power. This fragrance, the lasting power, it performs like a fine fragrance mist, and that's a little unusual for Arabian fragrances. So I'm really hoping sometime in the future that they reformulate this. But it does have fragrance notes of vanilla bourbon. It has some milk chocolate. It has a musky note in it. It has some spices and it has sandalwood. This fragrance is really good. So if you're looking for that sweet, milky, mouth-watering, gourmand type of chocolate fragrance, you will definitely get this with this fragrance. The only thing is you're going to have to drop this down in your bag because you're going to have to refresh it. So that is probably one of the reasons why it is at this point, because I really, really enjoyed the fragrance, but the lasting power, it just does not hold or last on my skin. So again, number 17, Choco. So number 16, we have Vanille Extreme by Contemptors Sud Pacifique. I always mess this name up, but this is a really good vanilla fragrance. And surprisingly, I have found the father of this fragrance, the grandon, the top of what I think this fragrance DNA provides. I found it, but hear me out. This fragrance, it has notes of vanilla, it has some sugar, it has heliotrope, it has some milk, and it has milk and vanilla again. So you definitely get that creamy gourmandness because you get the milk and the vanilla in the heart and the base notes. Beautiful fragrance. Really enjoyed it. When I got it, I was so excited about it because I'm like, this is the vanilla that I've been looking for. But the only thing about this fragrance, when you first put it on, it reminds me of in the kitchen when my grandmother would be baking her cakes. This is vanilla extract with whatever type of milk, but it has a very lactonic note to it. And it is good. It's really good. But then it dries down, and I think it's just the pheromones in my skin, or probably any human. It dries down and it comes to this like vanilla musky type of fragrance, and it's really nice. But the same issue as the previous fragrance, the lasting power. This is one that I have made it through. I don't know if you can see the dent. I have made it through because the lasting power requires you to decant this or drop this down in your bag. But I do pair this one with another fragrance from the same company that is just as good, but it has a fruity edge to it. This is the number 15 fragrance, is the Vanille Apricot, and it's by the same company. This fragrance has notes of apricot, papaya, jackfruit. It has some vanilla, and it has sugar in it as well. Now, like I said, it's a very beautiful, soft vanilla fragrance, but it gives you more of a sweet, fruity edge, which is good. And they wear so perfect together. But you have to do some hell of a layering and use some heck of a techniques in order to get from 8 to at least 10 o'clock of that same day in order for this to last. You definitely have to decant this or carry it with you. So that's the only problem that I have with these last two fragrances. They would have been further up on the list because they are my ideal type of vanilla fragrances, but the lasting power is, excuse me, the lasting power is not at all perfume worthy. I'm sorry. They just give you a lasting power of a fine fragrance mist. All right, so moving on into the next fragrance. This is a newer fragrance to the fragrance community, as well as myself. This just recently came out, but this is from the house of Burberry. So this would be number 14. This is Goddess from Burberry. This fragrance has fragrance notes of vanilla, lavender, cacao. It has vanilla caviar as well as vanilla absolute. Now, on first sniff, this fragrance is beautiful. It's not a gourmand type of vanilla. It is more of a floral type of vanilla because I do believe that that lavender note, it is pretty strong in here. And it gives you more of a floral type of vanilla. But I really enjoyed this fragrance when I mix it. I have mixed it with a couple other fragrances. The Orchid Vanille by Van Cleef and Arpel, to be exact. and it smells so good. I got tons of compliments that day. So I've really been trying to play around with this in isolation because I'm thinking about doing a full dedicated review on it, on how I truly feel about it. But it's a fairly decent fragrance, and I'm just trying to solidify my thoughts about how I feel about the fragrance in isolation. So the number 13 spot, it belongs to Dama Bianca from the house of Xerjoff. This is from the Pafumerie line. And Dama Bianca. Dama Bianca was so popular at the time that I purchased this fragrance. And I was new. This is my very first Xerjoff fragrance. Very new. I don't think I had ever smelled or sampled anything from the house of Xerjoff. And this was my first. Now, you guys, I have really enjoyed this fragrance. Very beautiful, nice fragrance. I think what made me buy this fragrance, I had heard it referenced probably by 3 different content creators that this would be the perfect bride scent. And in no way was I preparing for a wedding or anything like that, but I was just like, it would be lovely and nice to smell like a bride. And I also was looking for something that was more of a sophisticated type of gourmand. And I do think that this is more of a after 5 gourmand, let's just say that. Not sophisticated, but just like after 5 gourmand, in my opinion. So this fragrance has notes of limes. It has some kumquat. It has some Egyptian jasmine. It has lily of the valley, which was also an attraction because that is one of my favorite fragrance notes. Lily of the valley, cedarwood, and white musk. Now, you guys, once my fragrance collection really starts stretching, not so much as growing as far as quantity, but I want to say growing as far as variety of different houses. And I start experiencing other niche brand houses. I have to say that this fragrance is something that has been similarly replicated in some form or fashion. I want to say I have like maybe 2 other fragrances that really reminds me of this fragrance, this type of DNA. But it's a nice fragrance. I really enjoy it. And once I get to these other fragrance, I'll reference back and tell you if you have something along these lines, you really don't need this fragrance. But it's nice. Again, this is Dama Bianca in the number 13 spot. All right, so number 12 is KayAli's Vanilla 28. Look how beautiful that juice is. It looks like red wine, doesn't it? Oh, it's beautiful. Now, you guys, Vanilla 28, she's top tier when it comes to vanilla fragrances, and it comes to popularity in the fragrance community. So her being number 12, let's not at all get it confused, because she holds her ground and she's probably some people's number 1. Very good fragrance. Totally enjoy this fragrance. She is the perfect fragrance to mix with any fragrance that you need to increase the vanilla in, or you just want to add some sweetness to the fragrance. The brown sugar is like no other brown sugar that I've smelled in a fragrance. But I do think that the thing that makes this fragrance a little bit strong for me, it could just be the age, as things and certain things as they get older, they just get better. It could be how this fragrance has aged. And it also could be that amber, I think it has like an amber wood in it that's really strong. And it's a very perfumey type of vanilla, although it does have that vanilla note as well as that brown sugar note. But I wouldn't even put this in a gourmand category for me, because it is so much amber in here. It is a deep amber floral type of fragrance that has some sweet vanilla in it. It is really good. So again, in the number 12 spot is KayAli's Vanilla 28. So in the number 11 spot, you guys, is something that I just recently added to my collection, and she has been on my wish list for probably a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. I have heard many people talk about her. I just never bought her. Really, she should have been my first, because this is the first Xerjoff fragrance that I really gave a lot of attention to. So I don't know how I ended up with Dama Bianca as my first, but Lira, she is really good. And she wasn't even my second or my third from the house of Xerjoff. But this is Lira from the Pafumerie line as well. Lira has fragrance notes of blood orange. She has some bergamot. And she has rose, jasmine, cinnamon, vanilla, some musk, and some caramel. This is a gourmand lover's type of fragrance, you guys. Although it does not have lemon in this. But the combination of that blood orange mixed in with that bergamot note. Oh my God. This smells like an expensive lemon cookie. This is so good, you guys. It is a very strong gourmand type of fragrance, but it still gives you that beautiful perfumey notes that a lot of us, some of us just don't like to go around smelling like something that you can consume. You need that perfume element in it or that fragrance to just give it that perfume. But this right here, she's like borderline. She could be a gourmand, a real strong gourmand, or she could be just a perfumey type of gourmand that still gives you that perfume type of vibe. But she is definitely all that was said great about her. Very popular fragrance at one point in time. So again, this is Lira by Xerjoff from the Pafumerie line. All right, so moving on into number 10. This is just not a perfume, but it is a perfume oil, and you already know what it is. If you know, say it. And if you said Madagascar vanilla, you are correct. So this right here, she as well as Vanilla 28 were two of the most difficult fragrances for me to get in my collection. This was sold out at one time. I don't know what the issue was. I don't know if it was just because it was selling out and it was popular or if they couldn't get some of the fragrance notes. But this is so good. This is one of those perfume oils that it really doesn't even require combining it with a fragrance. This is the fragrance. And it's strong enough to stand on its own. This is the fragrance. But I always recommend a courier oil with this because it is that strong. And you have to actually apply this to the skin in order for it to smell and you to get that sillage. But it has fragrance notes of Madagascar vanilla. It has vanilla orchid, some coconut, and some cashmere woods. This is absolutely beautiful. So much so till I have to go very lightly when I apply this because it can be a little overbearing if you're trying to mix. Like I'm always somewhere trying to mix something and create something different instead of just letting things be what they are. But this is really good. Really enjoy this. I've made it almost through maybe a third of my bottle. And I also had the roll-on, so that lets you know that I really like this because it only takes a very small amount. So again, in the number 10 spot is NES New York, Madagascar. We're at the halfway mark. And in the number 9 spot, you guys, is Poets of Berlin from the house of Vilhelm Perfumery. This is a remarkable vanilla, to say the least, you guys. And the reason why I say it's remarkable because it is so uniquely done. This fragrance has notes of blueberry. It has some lemon. It has vanilla. It has green wild orris, vanilla, and sandalwood, as well as vetiver. I don't know what that green note is that Vilhelm Perfumery have in their fragrances, but it is good. And the way that they are able to mix that green note, what I'm going to just say is the signature Vilhelm Perfumery green note. If you know Vilhelm Perfumery, you know the note that I'm talking about. But it is so good, you guys. Because normally when I think of green, I think of just overly floral. But the way that they have crafted the vanilla as well as the blueberry, and I can actually smell the blueberry, that they crafted this fragrance. And this fragrance is so weird to me because it does give you this very feminine edge, but it's like the guy is just hanging around in the background and his presence is known. So this would be one of those fragrances, especially a vanilla fragrance, that I truly say can be a balanced male female fragrance. It is definitely a balanced unisex. And I just think that it will play off of whomever is wearing it, your body chemistry, whatever, whoever, not whatever, whoever is wearing it. I do think that it's going to either go masculine or feminine. And not to say that, you know, as a woman, some things may not turn masculine for me, but I really, really enjoy this fragrance. I haven't worn it since last fall because to me, this is the perfect transition note for me because blueberry is one of those cooler month type of fruity notes that I like. But this pairs really well with like fragrances or body care that may have that blueberry note in it. But this is good, you guys. If you haven't gotten your nose on this, try this. And there was a lot of hype around it, but I understand why, because it is so uniquely crafted. So again, in the number 9 spot, this is Poets of Berlin from Vilhelm Perfumeries. All right, so coming in at number 8 is from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and this is Gentle Fluidity Gold. Look at the juice, how beautiful. Gentle Fluidity Gold. It is definitely a vanilla fragrance, but it is a floral vanilla fragrance, rosy to be exact. This fragrance has notes of vanilla, amber, musk. It has some woody notes, juniper, nutmeg, and coriander. Now, you guys, there's this long drawn out story or battle within myself, influenced by a couple others, backstory with this fragrance. So I'm not going to bore you, but to put it in short form, this fragrance was never a fragrance that was like highly on my radar. It just wasn't, for whatever reason. Just never just like sparked me like, okay, wish list, you want to get that. And I have had samples of this fragrance, many of them, from when I went in store to get other fragrances. They allowed me to sample this, but it just never stuck with me. So I was over in the YouTube world and Platinum D referenced a fragrance in comparison to a fragrance that was that I had in my collection that came by way of Miss Peyton Charles. So really this was like a curiosity thing when I went ahead and said, okay, I'll get it. I saw that they had brought it down, or well, they've been in this size, to the 35 mil, and I was over on Lucky Scents moseying around like I want a fragrance, so I decided to go ahead and get the Gentle Fluidity Gold. And she is pretty. She's a very sophisticated type of vanilla fragrance, and she is definitely a year-round kind of girl. And remember when I told you guys that there was a fragrance that, or several fragrances in my collection that have that same DNA as Dama Bianca? This is it right here. So, very similar to that, has that rosy note in it with that sweetness and that gourmand edge, but definitely a more floral type of fragrance than a gourmand. So it's good. So Gentle Fluidity Gold, I don't need to bore you with what I feel about it because she is well known in the community. So that was the number 8 fragrance. That was the 8th fragrance, number 8. All right, so the fragrance right next to it, right underneath it, but I do like it a little better. It's the one that I just referenced that smells almost identical to it. The only difference is this one is a little stronger and it lasts and it carries you a little longer. And I think it's a little bit more spicier. So this is Cambridge Club from Xerjoff, and this is from the JTC. This is the Join the Club Vaulted collection. So this is a fragrance that you will not find the fragrance notes on. Oh, this is so good. On their site, but you know, according to Fragrantica, it has Bulgarian rose, it has rose, coriander, vanilla, and caramel. So as you hear, they are very similar fragrance notes according to Fragrantica. that the Gentle Fluidity Gold fragrance have. And I'm going to tell you another fragrance that this reminds me of. It smells like Intense Cafe by Montal. So same type of DNA. And I think Platinum even referenced Deluxe to smell like this. And I tested when I saw her content, and I'm like, let me go see, because I have it and it is similar. So all of these, they kind of like fall into that same fragrance profile. So in my mind, sometimes if I have one, I need them all. And, you know, in other people's minds, if you have one, you just need one. So it just depends on your personal preference. But if I had to choose between this and Gentle Fluidity Gold, I would definitely choose this one because it is a longer lasting and it just has a little bit more, it's just a little bit more spicier. So if that's what you're looking for. But if you want something that is a little milder and you don't like to overdo it with your fragrances, I would definitely recommend Gentle Fluidity Gold. But this is so good, you guys. This is good. And I normally only wear this like on date night because I think my husband really likes this fragrance. It is so good. And I'm not a rosy kind of girl. When I think of rose and someone say your favorite rose, I'm gonna always say Delina Exclusive. But this fragrance right here, it is really good. It's like a creamy, caramelly, just sweet type of rose. It's good. So again, in the number 7 spot, this is JTC Cambridge Club from the house of Xerjoff. All right, so in the number 6 spot, you guys, this is a new fragrance to my collection that I am totally all in for. I am really vibing with it in isolation and mixing it. But this is from the house of KayAli, and this is Oudgasm Vanilla Oud 36. You guys, this is so good. This is vanilla sugar, praline, saffron, white musk, oak moss, and oud. This is so good. I think I mentioned to you when I first smelled this, the first thought was, or the first two thoughts, she's good. And she reminded me of Yum Pistachio Gelato by KayAli. But this is good. If you're going to blind buy any of those fragrances, full bottle, as far, like 50 ml, I would definitely recommend this one. She's very safe. She is so good. She mixes well. She wears well in isolation. If you're new to oud, she's very new to oud friendly. Oh, this is good. This is so good. Oh, good, good, good. This is some goodness here. Mona, you did it. You did it when you did this one. And when I initially got the oud collection, I got the cafe oud because I wanted to increase my coffee fragrances. And I have this in 10 ml as well. And the very next day after I did my initial thoughts on it, I went and I ordered this because it is just that good. This is so good too. I have decided when I go ahead and get those wood chips for the house from KayAli, it will be in this scent, the vanilla oud. Because I do want to give me one of those little, what they call them? Bakukas, the wood burner, to experience that. I knew nothing about that until Mona shared it with us and came out with the line. But this is so good. This is good. Mm. Mm. So again, in the number 6, this is Oudgasm Vanilla 28. Look at me, Vanilla 28. Oudgasm Vanilla Oud by KayAli. All right, so we're getting close, you guys. And the number 5 spot is Eilish by Billie Eilish. And she is empty, you guys. But this is good. I remember going in store sampling this, and I had it on the card. I was in Ulta sampling some fragrance, had it on the card. The bottle itself is just an attraction itself. Very just piece of art. Love it. And I was in my purse, digging around in my purse, and I kept smelling something, and it was this. But this really reminds me of the vanilla, lavender vanilla from Bath and Body Works. And it's good. Really, really good. This has notes of sugar. It has some berries, has some mandarin, cacao, tonka, amber, and woodsy notes. And I think they kept out a note, I guess, to keep it in secret, in my opinion. But I smell lavender in this. And I don't know if it's a combination of two of the fragrance notes that are in here that gives it this lavender note. But as for me, this fragrance has lavender in it. And I'm not a big lavender fan, but I really, really like this. So much so till she's empty. It's like a little corner left. A half of a use. So good. Really enjoyed it. All right. So moving on into number 4, this is something that has been said to be a dupe. It is an Arabian fragrance, and it is supposed to be a dupe for what we just shared, Eilish by Billie Eilish. This is so good. It's long lasting. It smells just like Billie Eilish, in my opinion. And the reason why I made number 4, and I would say that it's better than Eilish because it lasts longer. Eilish may give you 2 to 3 hours, but this will give you 8 to 10 hours. It has very similar fragrance notes. It has red berries, mandarin, vanilla, cacao, rose, almost the exact same notes. Tonka bean, musk, amber, and sugar, and it is good, you guys. So if you're in the market to replenish Billie Eilish, I would definitely recommend this because this is how I replenished my Billie Eilish, and I'm not mad about it. It is really good. Did I even say the name? But this is Nebras Gold by Latafa, and Latafa is an Arabian fragrance house. So again, this is Nebras Gold by Latafa in the number 4 spot. Right. So moving on to number 3, top 3, you guys, top 3. This is from the house of Van Cleef's and Arpel. Something very new to my fragrance collection, but I have indeed been enjoying this. This is Orchid Vanille. Orchid Vanille has fragrance notes of vanilla, dark chocolate, vanilla orchid, tonka bean, bitter orange, mandarin, violet, lychee, and some Bulgarian rose. This is a very sweet floral vanilla. It is so good, you guys. I am really enjoying this. The first fragrance that I got from this house was the Santal Blanc. And I had sampled this in store, and I was like, it's good. You know, I like it. But then one of my niece's, Miss Winter to be exact, she told me how much she likes this. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go and get it. And I liked it even more when I actually got the full bottle and start playing around with it, wearing it, and pairing it with other things. This is what I paired with the Burberry Goddess, and I got so many compliments this day. So again, in the number 3 spot, this is Orchidee Vanille by Van Cleef's and Arpel. All right, so in the number 2 spot, you guys, is, do you know? I think you might know. All right, so this is Libre Le Parfum from YSL. And this is how much I like it. This is why it is in the number 2 spot. All right. So this fragrance has notes of ginger, saffron, mandarin, orange blossom, bergamot, lavender, oh, honey, and it has some vetiver in it. This fragrance is so good, you guys. And when I wear this fragrance, the compliments, they don't stop. And this is one of those fragrances that I do think you should wear a decant, take a decant with you, because it's not the longest lasting fragrance. You're going to get maybe about 4 hours, but during that time, especially during the first 2, oh my God, this is so good. And she's good all alone. She doesn't require any type of mixing, although I think I have mixed her or played around with her. But this is so good. Now, this is like flanker number 3. You have Libre, you have Libre Intense, You have the Libre Le Parfum. And you have the recent one, which is the Absolute Plantain. You have those, but if I had to just only pick one, it would definitely be the La Parfum. This is the best one. And it is a vanilla. This is a vanilla forward fragrance, but it does have very high notes of the orange blossom. You definitely can smell the orange blossom. I don't really know if I'm picking up the saffron, but I do get the ginger and the honey. But the vanilla is definitely present and there. So this is a beautiful transition fragrance. You really can wear it year round, but I think I wore it out last fall and last winter. Totally enjoyed it. I don't think I grabbed for this one time during the summer that I can remember, but she is really that good. All right, so in the number one spot, you guys, this is a fragrance that I have recently added to my collection. And this fragrance does remind me of a fragrance that I have already featured in the rankings. And you got to hear me out when I talk about this fragrance, you guys. You got to hear me out. This is one of those type of fragrances that you need. If you're into you, like I'm into me, you want this fragrance. And the reason that I say this, you guys, because this fragrance is very intimate. Very, very intimate. And I mean, it could be intimate in the connection way, like, you know, with your husband, your wife. It could be that kind of intimate, or it could just be intimate within you, you know, how you just close within you. And I must say that I am that type of person. Not that I'm vain, but I'm just really into me. So this fragrance is from the house of Maison. Oh, what a great introduction. Maison, Mataha, and this is Escapade Gourmand. Beautiful fragrance. Beautiful vanilla. The vanilla I think that I have been looking for a very long time, and I now have it. This vanilla reminds me of one of these vanillas. When I first smelled these, fell in love with them. Absolutely love them. It's just that they don't last. They don't last. They perform like fine fragrance mist. So, Escapade Gourmand has very simple fragrance notes in it. Sugarcane, vanilla, tonka bean, benzoin, and musk. Very simplistic. This is really the only fragrance that this house sells. But this is why I like this fragrance so much. It is what I wanted, or what I had been looking for in a vanilla fragrance. It is soft. It is beautiful. She has this sophisticated edge, not at all a heavy sea archer, not at all. But she is very long lasting. When I tell you long lasting, this fragrance lasted on me about 12 hours. Did I get any compliments? My husband told me that I smelled good. He liked it because we were very close proximity. But like I said, it's not the fragrance that you're going to get tons of compliments. But like I said, if you're into you like I'm into me, this vanilla is the perfect vanilla for that. If you want to vibe with yourself all day and you want to constantly tell yourself, you smell good. Oh, you smell good. Because I say that to myself from time to time. This fragrance is so beautiful. Oh my God. I don't think I've ever heard a negative comment or review about this fragrance. This fragrance is everything that they have said it to be. And I really didn't know what to expect because I didn't know, you know, but I did get a sample from Lucky Scents. I did. And you know, I was just like, wow, this is good. A week later, I was ordering the fragrance. But I just, as far as how long it lasted, because like when I'm sampling those little decants, I'm not wearing the fragrance. I'm just playing around with it, testing it, and what I call them in the lab. I'm experimenting with the fragrance. So as far as I don't get to wear the fragrance because it's only like a little 0.2 vial of the fragrance, very small amount. And Lucky Scents, they don't have sprayers, so you're just actually blotting the fragrance in your warm spots. So I didn't really know what to expect as far as performance, because I don't think I ever heard a video out that really talked about performance. So this is by far my most favorite vanilla fragrance at this moment right now, like I said, in this time. So I hope you enjoyed what I had to share with you in regards to my vanilla fragrance. If you're here 20-30 minutes later, thank you for staying aboard. I greatly appreciate you all. I cannot express that enough. If you have any additional questions about any of the fragrances that I shared, or if you want to comment about any of the fragrances, if you have them in your collection, please do. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you so much. And do not forget, you, yes, you are great. Bye-bye.